So in 2004, I graduated, well, actually 2003, I graduated medical school. And then 2004, I started my residency in family medicine at the University of Washington's program in Olympia, Washington. I met my wife, Stacy, about a month in, and we fell in love. And it was amazing. We had an amazing time getting to know each other. And then 3 months later, she couldn't get out of bed. So this is my story. This is how my story began to explore the world of fatigue. And so here's this woman who I love, and I can't figure out how to help her. At that time, not a lot of people were talking about fatigue. There weren't a lot of good resources in conventional medicine. It was pretty much thyroid, liver disease, heart disease. That was about it. And so I started asking everybody that I knew and started going to conferences. And I was still very much conventional at that time. And I didn't learn much, unfortunately. Now, fortunately, she read a whole bunch about adrenal fatigue, and she got a naturopath, and she did saunas, and she worked on her emotional health, and she was mostly better, 60, 70% better in 3 years. Okay, so then at that point, I'm just finishing off my residency, and I felt completely powerless. Here's this woman who I love, and I couldn't help her, and that felt awful to me. So I graduate residency in 2007, and we had gotten married in 2006, and then we have a child, and then I started my own practice in 2007. We have a child in 2008, and then by 2010, I had fatigue. And my fatigue was so bad, my brain fog was so bad, and my body pain was so bad that it just about destroyed my life, destroyed my relationships, and destroyed my business. So I could barely see patients at that time. I had to hire additional practitioners, additional staff for those practitioners in order to be able to see patients because I couldn't remember anything. My brain fog was so awful. The person sitting in front of me, thank goodness I had an electronic medical record where I was able to keep notes because as soon as they were out of that chair, I couldn't remember much about them. Now, fortunately, I feel like I was still practicing good medicine. It sounds really impossible. But when I look back at those notes, I was able to stay present and to support those people where they were at, but then I couldn't remember. My short term was good, I guess, but my long term wasn't. So at that point, I was really struggling, and I would come home, and we've got a newborn child, and she's, "Daddy, play with me," and I couldn't play with her. All I could do was lie on the couch. I could really only work for a couple hours a day, and the rest of it I had to be lying around. And then I couldn't help out. My wife is just coming off of fatigue, and we have this newborn child, and she has to do everything at home. I couldn't wash the dishes, I couldn't help out, I couldn't clean, there was so much that I couldn't do. I was just trying to survive to pay the bills. So it was awful, and I don't want anybody, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, I don't want anybody to ever experience what I went through. So at that point, I was like, enough is enough. I became decisive, I became committed, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what I need to do in order to get better. And so that's when I started learning, started taking every course that I could, every conference that I could go to that talked about fatigue, every book that I could read that talked about fatigue, because I knew that if I learned enough that I could figure it out. I knew that if I found the causes that I could figure it out. Because what I learned, not just medical school, but at this point, I was learning about functional medicine and integrative medicine and environmental medicine, that I knew that it was all about the cause. And that if I could just find the cause, then I could resolve it. But what I learned was that there were multiple causes. And over time, I found out that there were 33 potential causes of fatigue and that everybody had multiple causes. And most of the people that I see now who have fatigue generally have around 20, 25 causes. And so usually that's deficiencies in nutrients, hormones, lifestyle habits, and then toxicities in things like heavy metals, chemicals, molds, infections, allergies, and negative emotions. It's always a combination of those, okay? But there are some people who have mold and adrenal dysfunction, and there are people who have low thyroid and heavy metal toxicity. So they're never the same. And that's really what I found out, is that everybody has different multiple causes of fatigue. Now, what I found is that I had pretty much all of them. I had like 30 of them. And so I went through the process of resolving them. And with every single one that I would fix, I would get a little bit better, a little bit better. But it wasn't until I fixed all of them that I really found amazing health and amazing energy. And it's brought me to where I am today, which is feeling great. So I hope that was helpful for you to learn a little bit about me and my path. And so now I'm on this mission to help 1 million people resolve their fatigue. And I do that in every way that I could deem possible, that I could find possible. And that's one-on-ones, that's with group programs, that's with the online course, that's with the book. So I'm just trying to get the word out there in order to share this information with people so that they can resolve their fatigue as well. And so we don't have to have 30 some million people in the United States living with fatigue. Because guess what? It's helping nobody. Nobody's getting rich off of that. Nobody's getting helped by that, because when you get better from fatigue, everything is better in your life. Your relationships, your health, your sex, your business, your loved ones get more support from you. You know, everything is better. Okay. So I would encourage you to figure out the causes of your fatigue, resolve them. So if you're interested, there's a button below. You can hop on a free discovery call with me where we kind of dive in and see why you haven't been successful, why you potentially have fatigue, and then what you can do about it. And this is a low pressure call. If you want to hear about my programs, great. If you don't, that's fine too. I just want to serve. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day.